how will we ever know what those gossip and rumors were really about way back when? What I do know is that it's impossible at this point in time to ever remove any kind of cloud of guilt and suspicion. What we're left with when that's true is we have to go back to proceedings where Americans love justice. We love the presumption of innocence. It's why you breathe a big sigh of relief when you cross the Rio Grande and get back over here. And she went through some of the hardest crucibles of trial and justice that we'll ever know about. To stand trial and say, I will not take your deal, I will not accept that deal because it makes me say I did something I didn't do, and that puts me in jeopardy. And so she went through that jeopardy, and she was not convicted. Her criminal proceedings were dismissed back in November 2004. She also had to go to a multi-day hearing in June 2006 to save her license. The ruling came in August 2006, and SBEC and TEA, using a much different standard of justice than a criminal court, where really, if you think about it, the prosecutor is trying to prove a case, and you are saying, prove it, and I am not guilty. In licensure, it's much different. Really, the burden of proof switches around, and there was no ability to take the fifth, or there was no choice to do that. And SBEC and TEA believe that Joelle Ogletree is free to teach in any classroom in Texas. There were no sanctions, no warnings, and no reprimands. So in late 2006, and turning through today, when there is an attempt to volunteer in school, I guess the question for the board to ask itself, I guess the board members ask themselves individually, and the board asks itself corporately, the question that Joelle and I have asked each other all along, which is, how innocent do you have to be? This is not, I'm not talking about the contract lawsuit. That has to do with authority to sign contracts, ultra vires, accrual versus discovery rule. It has a whole host of issues. We'll litigate that, and I believe we'll actually win that in the end. I'm talking about the attempt to actually be a volunteer in your daughter's school. This has to do with the issue of how innocent do you have to be. There are things that we're prevented from in life that probably help us. It's probably good to have some people tell us, no, you can't do that until later. It's probably good for a dad to tell a son, you're not ready for this. It's probably good in some cases if you're immature and you don't use your responsibility well enough to have someone say, you're not ready for that. This is different. There is no path that Ms. Ogletree can see under which she could ever volunteer if the standard is you're only innocent enough when there are none of those feathers flying around in the world, when it's all been put back in the pillow, when you found every single one of them. No matter how many people recant, no matter how many people fail lie detector tests, no matter how many juries acquit her, no matter how many SBEC hearings find her to be not guilty, at this point in time, the standard appears to be you can never do it. If you ask in August the 12th, 2009 to volunteer, we will put you under review. In November of 2009, we'll tell you, I'm sorry. You aren't required to do it. You don't have to do it. It's discretionary. Well, I agree. It is discretionary. That's why I'm praying to you to change your mind. You have the power. You could say to her, you know what? I don't care what I hear. You could produce videotape proof of people saying that it was all a lie to begin with. It won't change my mind because there are a few feathers out there floating still. Some coded messages, communications that may or may not have happened. Well, I submit to you that communications by all of us are sometimes suspect when put under a microscope. We have to, in the end, go with actions.